Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, entrepreneurs of purpose, let me ask you something. If you could sit down with the creator of the universe and present your business plan, would you? Would you show up different? Would you think bigger? Would you act with more faith? Because I'm here to tell you, you can. Every single day, you and I have the opportunity to schedule the most important meeting in our lives, a business meeting with God. But the question is not, can we? The real question is, are we prepared to? When we talk about scheduling a business meeting with God, we're not speaking in metaphors. We're talking about creating a sacred space in your life where you intentionally sit with your Creator to seek guidance, wisdom, and alignment for your business and life. And the first step to making that real is to schedule it like it matters, because it does. Think about the way we prepare for meetings with clients, investors, or mentors. We don't show up late. We don't walk in distracted. We don't treat it casually. Why? Because we know the value that meeting could bring. We believe that person has the ability to influence our future, open doors, or give advice that moves us forward. So we prepare, we plan, we show up. Now imagine if we approached our time with God, the ultimate source of provision, ideas, creativity, and strategy, with the same or even greater intentionality. This isn't about ritual, it's about relationship, it's about respect. When you put time on your calendar to meet with God, you're not doing Him a favor. You're recognizing that your future is too important to navigate alone. You're acknowledging that every deal, every opportunity, and every breakthrough starts in the unseen before it manifests in the seen. Scheduling time with God is how you access that unseen. Most people treat prayer or reflection as something to do if I get time or when I need help. But people of purpose don't wait for problems to pray. They make prayer part of the process. They build it into their routine, just like checking emails, planning strategies, or reviewing KPIs. Because they understand that divine guidance is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Let me give you a real example. A young entrepreneur I worked with used to start his day jumping straight into sales calls and social media strategy. He was driven, smart, and full of hustle, but he constantly felt anxious, unclear, and overwhelmed. One day, I challenged him to block out 30 minutes every morning as his boardroom meeting with God. No phone, no distractions, just him, a notebook, an honest conversation with his Creator. Within 60 days, he reported clearer decision-making, less stress, and a breakthrough idea that tripled his monthly income. He said, I used to think I didn't have time to pray. Now I realize I didn't have time not to. That's what happens when you schedule your meeting with God. Ideas flow, peace enters, chaos calms, and strategy becomes spiritual. Don't treat your relationship with God like an emergency exit. Treat it like your executive entrance. Set the time, protect it, honor it, because that meeting isn't just about asking for help, it's about aligning with heaven to operate with power on earth. And once you start showing up like it matters, you'll realize it always did. When you sit down to have a business meeting with God, it's essential to approach with clarity, not confusion. God is not the author of confusion. He is the source of wisdom, direction, and divine order. So when you come into that sacred space, you need to know what you're asking, why you're asking, and what you're truly aiming for. Vague prayers get vague answers. Unclear visions lead to unclear paths. If you're not clear about what you want, how can you expect to recognize it when it arrives? Clarity doesn't mean having every detail figured out. It means knowing the core of your intention. It means being real with yourself about what you're building, who you want to serve, and why it matters. Too often, people approach God with a list of complaints or general requests, like help me succeed or bless my business. But success has a million definitions, and blessing without direction can be wasted. When you're clear, you're saying, God, this is the business I want to create. These are the people I want to impact. This is the revenue I want to generate, and this is what I plan to do with it. That kind of clarity is powerful, not because God needs specifics, but because you do. Clarity shows faith. It shows that you've thought deeply. It shows that you're not just hoping, you're partnering. You're not just wishing, you're working in alignment. Think about a GPS system. It can't take you anywhere until you type in a specific destination. In the same way, if you approach your Creator with a blurry vision, you may spend years moving, but never arriving. Clarity sets your destination so God can order your steps. Here's a short example. A woman I knew had been praying for a successful business. Every year she'd get excited, try different ventures, a boutique, a candle brand, a coaching service, but nothing stuck. She felt lost. I asked her to sit down, pray intentionally, and write down the business she felt called to create. Not the trend, not what others were doing, but what she was deeply drawn to. After 3 days of reflection and intentional prayer, she realized her true calling was to help young women develop self-worth through art therapy. That was her clarity moment. Once she got specific, everything shifted, the ideas flowed, partnerships appeared, her branding, her marketing, even her pricing aligned with her purpose. And within months, she had a thriving business because she finally approached God not with confusion, but with clarity. Clarity is the invitation to divine strategy. When you show up with a focused heart, God meets you with direction. He doesn't need perfect plans. He just needs a pure, precise purpose. So before your next meeting with him, sit down, reflect, define your goal, and then walk into that spiritual boardroom with confidence, knowing exactly what you're building and why. Because clarity creates movement and confusion only delays your breakthrough. When you sit before God in your sacred business meeting, one of the most powerful things you can do is present your vision with faith, not fear. God responds to faith. Faith is the currency of heaven. It's not enough to have an idea. You need to believe in that idea with the kind of confidence that says, I know you gave me this and I trust you to help me bring it to life. Fear, on the other hand, cancels clarity, it clouds judgment, limits dreams, and makes you second guess what you know deep down you were born to do. Many people come to God with timid hearts. They pray small because they fear disappointment. They speak in circles afraid to ask for what they really want. But if God placed that vision in your heart, why would you be afraid to speak it back to him? When you approach your Creator, don't hold back. Declare your vision with boldness. Speak your goals. Describe your dream business. Share the impact you want to make. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. Fear whispers, what if I fail? Faith declares, what if God shows up like never before? Fear looks at your bank account. Faith looks at your source. Fear focuses on what's missing. Faith celebrates what's possible. When you bring your vision to God, do it like you're talking to the one who owns all resources, all timing, and all connections. Because that's exactly who he is. Your vision is not just about you. It's about the lives that will be touched through what you build. That's why it's not just okay to speak your vision in faith. It's your responsibility. Think of it like a blueprint. The architect doesn't show up to the meeting unsure of what they're designing. They walk in with sketches, plans, and purpose. You must do the same. Come to God with your blueprint and say, here's what I'm building, Lord. Breathe life into it, correct what's wrong, expand what's right, and lead me step by step. Here's an example. A young man had a vision to launch a tech company that solved problems for small halal businesses. But every time he thought about starting, fear would take over. What if it fails? What if no one buys? What if I'm not ready? He kept delaying. Then one day he decided to fast and spend an hour in prayer, not asking for a sign, but declaring his vision in faith. He said, Ya Allah, I believe you put this idea in me. I may not have all the tools, but I trust you to use me. Within weeks, the right mentor showed up, funding became available, and his idea began to grow. His vision hadn't changed. His faith had. Faith activates favor. When you present your vision to God with confidence, you give heaven permission to move. So don't hold back, speak it out, own your calling. Because God can do more with your faith than you'll ever do with your fear. Asking for strategic guidance in your business meeting with God is one of the most essential steps in aligning your plans with divine wisdom. When we rely only on our own understanding, we're limited by what we can see, what we know, and what we've experienced. But when we seek guidance from God, the one who sees the end from the beginning, we gain access to insight that goes far beyond logic, research, or trend analysis. Strategic guidance from God is not random. It's precise, purposeful, and powerful. Most people pray for help in general terms. God, help me succeed, or show me what to do. But strategic guidance is more intentional. It's when you say, God, show me the next best move in this business. It's when you ask, what's the right time to launch this? Or should I say yes to this partner? Or is this idea from you or just from me? When you get specific in your asking, you make room for specific answers. God is not vague. He's the master of details. The same God who designed the universe with order and balance is more than capable of giving you strategy for your marketing, your team, your products, and your purpose. Asking for strategic guidance also shows humility. It's saying, God, I've done the work, I've studied, I've planned, but I won't move forward without your approval. That kind of submission is powerful. It attracts divine support. It protects you from rushing into things that look good but aren't good for you. It saves you time, energy, and even money. Sometimes a single whisper from God can save you from a 2-year detour. And sometimes one small idea from heaven can launch you into a season of overflow you never imagined. Here's a strong example. A woman had an idea to start an online fashion store for modest wear. She had a strong concept, a good team, and a bit of funding, but something didn't feel aligned. Instead of pushing through with logic, she took a day to fast, pray, and ask God for strategic guidance. During that time, she felt strongly led to change her target market, not to women, but to young girls and teens. It didn't make sense at first, but she followed the nudge. When she launched her new brand, it quickly gained traction because there was a massive gap in the market for stylish, age-appropriate, modest clothing for younger girls. Her obedience to divine strategy opened doors that her original plan never could. This is the power of asking for strategic guidance. It's not about being passive and waiting for signs in the sky. It's about being proactive in your faith and intentional in your listening. It's about inviting God into the decision-making room and saying, lead me step by step. Because the truth is, you don't need more information. You need divine instruction. And what you ask for with sincerity, God will always deliver. Often in ways you never expected, but always in ways that align with your purpose. Evaluating with integrity means being honest with yourself and with God about how you're managing what you've been given. In every business meeting with God, there should be a moment of reflection, not just about what you want, but about what you've done with what you already have. Have you been faithful? Have you kept your word? Have you made decisions based on principles or out of pressure? This is where the real growth happens, not just in asking for more, but in evaluating how you've handled what's already in your hands. When you bring your business, your time, and your actions before God with transparency, you give him something to bless. But if you're hiding behind excuses, ignoring mistakes, or pretending everything is fine when it's not, you block the very breakthrough you're praying for. Integrity isn't about perfection, it's about accountability. It's about saying, God, here's where I missed it. Here's where I compromised. But here's also where I'm ready to realign. Business, like life, is a test of stewardship. And God doesn't promote what isn't managed well. If you're praying for financial increase, but ignoring how you handle the small amounts, there's a disconnect. If you're asking for more clients, but treating your current ones with minimal effort, that's something to correct. If you're dreaming of building a brand that glorifies your values but cutting corners behind the scenes, it's time to pause. The truth is, God honors integrity even when no one's watching, especially when no one's watching. Evaluation is also a tool for growth. It helps you see patterns, notice blind spots, and refine your systems. When done regularly, it keeps you from drifting off course. And when done with God, it's no longer about guilt, it's about grace. It's about adjusting with courage, not shame. Here's an example. A young businessman started a marketing agency with strong values, honesty, service, and faith-centered leadership. But as competition grew and clients demanded faster results, he began to make small compromises, exaggerating results, over-promising timelines, and under-delivering. At first, it felt like survival, but deep down, he fell off. During a business meeting with God, he asked not for new clients, but for clarity. And what came to his heart was simple: return to your original values. He evaluated honestly, admitted where he'd slipped, and began making changes, even if it meant losing a few contracts. Within months, he attracted a new level of clients who valued authenticity and were willing to pay more for real results. His revenue grew not just because of marketing, but because of integrity. That's the power of honest evaluation. When you face yourself fully, you give God permission to elevate you truly. So in your meetings with him, don't just ask, what's next? Ask, how did I do with the last thing? Because that's where character is refined, leadership is developed, and favor is multiplied. When you align every action with eternal impact, you begin to see your business as more than just a way to make money. You see it as a mission. Every decision, every product, every conversation becomes an opportunity to serve people in a way that honors God and echoes into eternity. This mindset takes your focus off of just profit and puts it on purpose. It doesn't mean you neglect results. It means you pursue results with a higher reason. You begin to ask different questions, not just what will this earn, but who will this serve? Not just how fast can I grow, but how deeply can I impact? Eternal impact means doing business with values that won't fade. It means treating people with dignity, delivering more than you promise, being fair in your pricing, and generous in your giving. It means building something that reflects God's character, excellence, creativity, integrity, and love. When you align with eternal impact, your work becomes worship. Your office becomes a place of service. Your clients become people you steward, not just invoices you collect. One of the most powerful things about eternal impact is that it doesn't always show up on spreadsheets, but it always shows up in hearts. And those hearts create word of mouth, long-term loyalty, and divine favor that no marketing budget can buy. When people feel seen, served, and valued, they remember you. This doesn't mean you have to preach in every pitch or quote scripture in every email. It simply means you lead with light. You build your business in a way that makes people feel uplifted after encountering it. Whether you're in real estate, tech, fashion, consulting, or retail, the way you handle people, problems, and pressure speaks louder than your advertising ever could. Here's an example. A brother started a small graphic design business. He was good at what he did, but the industry was competitive and full of cutthroat practices. Instead of blending in, he decided to stand out by aligning his business with eternal impact. He made a commitment to always over-deliver, to never lie to clients about timelines, and to donate 10% of every job to feed orphans. He didn't advertise that part. It was between him and God. Over time, his reputation spread, not just for good designs, but for being someone people could trust. Clients started referring him constantly, and one of his regular clients eventually funded him to open a full agency. He said, "I thought I was just designing logos, but I realized now I was building something that mattered." That's the kind of success that lasts. When you align every action with eternal impact, you build a business that not only blesses your life, but blesses others long after you're gone. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about what you build, it's about what you leave behind. And when your work is connected to something bigger than yourself, God will multiply it in ways you never imagined. Closing your business meeting with God requires two essential things: action and tawakkul. Trust in Allah. After you've brought your vision with faith, ask for strategic guidance. Evaluate it with integrity and align your efforts with eternal impact. You cannot walk away from that divine conversation and do nothing. You must move, you must act, but you must also trust. Because success does not come from effort alone. It comes from effort combined with reliance on the one who controls all outcomes. Action is your proof of faith. It shows that you believe in what you prayed for. It's easy to say, "I trust Allah," but true trust shows up in your movement. When you make the call, send the email, launch the project, or take the next step, even when you don't see the full picture, you are declaring, "I've met with my Lord, I've received direction, now I will move forward knowing He walks with me." But action alone isn't enough. That's where tawakkul comes in. You must release control of the results. Tawakkul means doing your part with excellence and then leaving the outcome in Allah's hands without anxiety. It is the balance between hustle and surrender. You're not trying to force results through stress or fear. You're planting seeds and trusting the one who brings rain. Tawakkul gives your soul peace. It allows you to rest, even in the grind, because you know you're not striving alone. This is not about being passive or reckless. Islam teaches us to tie the camel and trust in Allah. So after your meeting with God, you should have a clear action plan. What are you doing today? What steps will you take this week? Who do you need to contact? What needs to be implemented immediately? Then, once you've done that, you release it. You don't panic if results don't come instantly. You don't question your value if things move slowly. You trust the timing of the one who knows what's ahead even when you don't. Let's take a practical example. A sister had a vision to start a mental wellness platform for Muslim women. After praying, fasting, and seeking guidance, she felt ready. She wrote down her goals, mapped her first steps, and prepared to launch. But fear started to creep in. What if no one signs up? What if it fails? In that moment, she remembered, take action and trust. She pressed publish. That first day, only 5 people signed up. But instead of panicking, she said, Alhamdulillah, I did my part. Allah will bring the rest. 2 weeks later, one of those 5 women shared the platform on a major influencers page, and the registrations exploded. Her business didn't grow because she was perfect. It grew because she took action and left the results to Allah. So when your meeting with God ends, your mission begins. Take bold steps rooted in belief. Walk forward with confidence and leave the results to the King. That's how you move in power. That's how you build with peace. That's how you turn vision into victory. Closing your business meeting with God requires 2 essential things: action and tawakkulim, trust in Allah. After you've brought your vision with faith, ask for strategic guidance, evaluate it with integrity, and align your efforts with eternal impact. You cannot walk away from that divine conversation and do nothing. You must move, you must act, but you must also trust, because success does not come from effort alone. It comes from effort combined with reliance on the one who controls all outcomes. Action is your proof of faith. It shows that you believe in what you prayed for. It's easy to say, I trust Allah, but true trust shows up in your movement. When you make the call, send the email, launch the project, or take the next step, even when you don't see the full picture, you are declaring, I've met with my Lord. I've received direction. Now I will move forward, knowing He walks with me. But action alone isn't enough. That's where ta'awukul comes in. You must release control of the results. Ta'awul means doing your part with excellence and then leaving the outcome in Allah's hands without anxiety. It is the balance between hustle and surrender. You're not trying to force results through stress or fear. You're planting seeds and trusting the one who brings rain. Ta'awul gives your soul peace. It allows you to rest, even in the grind, because you know you're not striving alone. This is not about being passive or reckless. Islam teaches us to tie the camel and trust in Allah. So after your meeting with God, you should have a clear action plan. What are you doing today? What steps will you take this week? Who do you need to contact? What needs to be implemented immediately? Then once you've done that, you release it. You don't panic if results don't come instantly. You don't question your value if things move slow. You trust the timing of the one who knows what's ahead even when you don't. Let's take a practical example. A sister had a vision to start a mental wellness platform for Muslim women. After praying, fasting, and seeking guidance, she felt ready. She wrote down her goals, mapped her first steps, and prepared to launch. But fear started to creep in. What if no one signs up? What if it fails? In that moment, she remembered, take action and trust. She pressed publish. That first day, only 5 people signed up. But instead of panicking, she said, Alhamdulillah, I did my part. Allah will bring the rest. 2 weeks later, one of those 5 women shared the platform on a major influencers page, and the registrations exploded. Her business didn't grow because she was perfect. It grew because she took action and left the results to Allah. So when your meeting with God ends, your mission begins. Take bold steps rooted in belief. Walk forward with confidence and leave the results to the King. That's how you move in power. That's how you build with peace. That's how you turn vision into victory.